destroy liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. I believe it's the 42nd week of comics. I know we skipped a week in the counting, so I believe it's the 42nd week of comics in 2024. Yeah, we're back. We're back safe and sound in our abodes. I'm back in Underworld North Studio here in Toronto. You're back in Underworld, Jersey, in the sixth borough of New Jersey. There you go. I am Matthew. He's Chris. How you doing, Chris? Long time no see.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm just, as I was saying right before the podcast, buried under an embarrassment of riches, I guess you could say, between TV series that I have to catch up on, between books I have to catch up on, between games I have to catch up on, between podcasts I have to make appearances on. Right. I make it sound like it's a chore, but no, I like being on podcasts. But there's a lot of plates spinning right now on my end. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It could be worse. It'll be like, oh, I'm bored out of my mind. There's nothing to do. So yeah, trying to do all that at once and then, stay on top of everything, prioritize. So
there you go. Speaking of catching up, we're going to be catching up on one book that came out a few weeks ago that we still hadn't gotten around to chatting about, and we'll get that in just a little bit. First off, get the plugs out of the way. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at EyeonCannonPod, EYEONCANONPOD, and on Twitter at StarRaptor, STARRAPTER. I'm gonna bug you on the internet, live on the internet, Chris, to get a cosplay Instagram going. I think that's something you should do. Comment in the chat below if you think Chris Abbott should have a cosplay Instagram, and the answer is yes, you should. Although, yeah, there you go. But yeah, definitely youtube.com/StarRaptor. Is that video we recorded Sunday, is that up yet?
Yes, it is. I have a vlog up of me just taking video of the booths, of the cosplays. I have a lot of cool, funny moments from panels that I have little clips of in there as well. And we have a nice little lengthy discussion of the week as a whole at the end of that. So it's a longer video. It says 45 minutes. It's mainly because of us talking at the end of it, but there's maybe 10 or 12 minutes of actual raw footage of the convention itself. So there you go. That's on there. I also have a review, which I'm sure we'll get up to eventually, but it is this. Here, we got the latest issue. Fantastic story involving characters from the High Republic, written by Alyssa Wong. So cool stuff there. I got that. I'm working on my review for the Secrets of the Clone Troopers. I'll be getting that shortly, and I'll have that review on the channel. That's what I mean. I'd even mentioned all the YouTube stuff I'm doing as well, on top of all the other things that I'm reading. I was just telling you this as well. I've actually started to warm up to this book, but there's an exclusive cover that I grabbed from Stephen Barnes. Let me tell you about this guy, Stephen Barnes. Probably one of the best world builders I've seen in Star Wars, hands down. Like next to Alexander Freed, with book 2 of Alphabet Squadron, there's a planet. I might be butchering the name. I might have gotten the planet name wrong. It's something with a T. I don't know if it's Troika or something like that. Yeah. But anyway, like this place, the glass abyss of this planet, Metagosa, is just some of the coolest Star Wars I've read about. Between the cultures, between the way of life, between the geography of this city that's built into this geode in the middle of this planet that get ravaged by a solar storm. I could go on. I actually have been liking the book a lot more. It's a little tough to get into. The first couple chapters, they're shorter chapters, which is a benefit, but it just feels like the book didn't really go anywhere for the first 50 pages. But I will tell you this, if you're a hardcore Legends fan, you're probably going to love this book, because out of the few Legends books I've read, it feels very much in that scope where it's it's a standalone book that is kind of focused on one planet, one character, and you're seeing some cool stuff that Mace Windu has done so far. But yeah, I didn't mean to go that much time on that book, but it's on the mind because that's what I'm reading right now.
That's interesting. I will say one last thing I'll say there. Interesting given his comments at the author panel about some of the Legends books and Legend stories and how he's really wanting to flesh out Mace Windu's character. So for more on our thoughts on, that's a great segue, on your Comic-Con, so check out youtube.com/Star Raptor. Also right here on this channel, we were able to do a recap of day 1, and then a recap of day 2, fresh out of the Lucasfilm Publishing panel, and then on the flagship, the Thursday night after day 1, fresh out of the author panel, that Star Wars kind of tie-ins authors, but that had Stephen Barnes and John Jackson Miller on it, and so they talked about Star Wars, and so check that out. That is in the all 3 of those videos are in the description below. I was on my game making that prep this morning, so please feel free to do check those out after tonight's episode. Because some things we're going to talk about we didn't get to talking much about this weekend, so we'll get into that. Some things will be a bit of overlap, and some things will be a bit of overlap between Joel and me on Monday. I'm guessing you're gonna probably go into some more reveals on Outer Rim transmissions and other things at other times. You can either confirm or deny that fact, but I don't know. What's on top for Outer Rim transmissions?
I'm thinking we'll have a Skeleton Crew trailer coming out very, very soon. So I'm assuming that I'll be breaking down some kind of Skeleton Crew trailer because Agatha along is wrapping up, and we know with Disney, I've seen it before. As soon as one of those shows ends, it's like, okay, Overdrive immediately. Like, we have a month to promote this show. Let's put out like 50 trailers in 30 days. So I very much think we'll be in season of Skeleton Crew at that point. So I might have a couple things to say, but and we'll be talking about the John Williams documentary because I think that comes out on the November 1st. Right, that's coming out. Yeah. So we'll probably review that because we're not going to go live again until I think it's Sunday. Let me look at my schedule. Sunday, November 3rd is when we're returning. We're taking this week off. So
okay, sounds good. So feel free to please check that out. Also, I know the flagship tomorrow night is also talking about New York Comic Con reveals and news. So please do give that a whirl as Chris goes on an adventure there. There we go. Wandering New Jerseyan. There we go. There you go. All right. I think that's it for plugging. We have the Discord server. Can't forget the Discord server. Also the link in the description down below. Come say hi. The water's fine. Come wish Ben a happy half birthday on the 26th. I will do that on October 26th. Is Ben's half birthday. Ben Hart's half birthday.
How do you know that?
It's also my half birthday. Yeah. You guys know you know Ben and I share a birthday, right?
Yeah, but I don't know anybody who's in their almost 40s that counts like quarters and halves of their birthday. But I just heard of like a TV show where they're like, yeah. Actually, I think it was Jurassic World Chaos Theory, which I'm binge watching. They're reviewing IPC this week, and the girl was like, "I'm 14 and a half," and the kid was like, "Well, I guess you're still super young if you're counting half birthdays."
I just spent the last 4 days with cosplayers, people dressed up as Darth Vader, and I'm now on YouTube talking about comic books. Gotta have an inner child. I think half birthdays are fun. Why not? So if you don't like fun, it's not my problem. There we go. Anyways, speaking of fun, we got some comic books to talk about. We have one comic book to talk about. There's no new Star Wars books, so we're definitely gonna talk about New York Comic Con news, go in depth on a bunch of things. But first off, do want to get into this one because we haven't gotten to it. So Hardbook Adventure Saber for Hire number 4, written by Kevin Scott. Here's the cover by Rachel Stott, who also did the art, and colors by Nicola Righi. This epic miniseries comes to a shocking conclusion. The identity of the sinister child of the storm revealed, a past confronted, and a sacrifice made as Ty Yorrick and her apprentice face their biggest challenge yet. Ty's life will never be the same. I gotta say, so for a book, I actually did end up reading this one twice. Oddly enough, I don't usually do that. Get to doing that, but so I read twice because it was a gap between when we were actually it came out when we were actually gonna get to it, and I gotta say I enjoyed it. I appreciated first off the fact that we've had so much time with this character, and Kevin has so much time with this character from when we see her in phase 1 and then into Rising Storm. So again, Kevin Scott's novel, phase 1 adult novel. And that even gets a mention here. You know, Kip says, "Oh yeah, we met on Valo, that horrific Nihil attack on Valo." She's very much separated from the Jedi, and because of this incident, this accident, in part that happened with a friend of hers. That gets reminded. We get reminded of that in this issue, and she's gone on this journey, and journey of confronting these monsters and seeing the Nihil hunt down these Force sensitive kids, and it turns out that the Nihil for the Nihil hunting the Force sensitive kids, and all the while having this annoying Druin coming at her heels and annoying her and just trying to be her Padawan, and all of a sudden running off to save the Chancellor's son, his boyfriend, and just a lot of shenanigans that have actually served to test her and challenge her to say, "Oh, what if there's more to?" Well, not so. What if there's more to life? But in that, what if I can't do this on my own? What if I can't put off facing my past? And what really finally provokes it in the end is she feels a presence she hasn't felt since, right? She detects that this child of the storm, this Jedi hunter, this Nihil hunter is her former master, who when she left, he was so devastated that he ends up falling. We don't know. Maybe he gets captured by the Nihil. Maybe some sort of brainwashing happens. Maybe he's so devastated that he runs to them. And just like in Tears of the Nameless, which I am almost done, with what's the name? The Suckerus, or not Suckerus? Is that his name?
Something like that.
Yeah, that child is from this guy. I'm forgetting his name.
Sababa or something.
Yeah, he's probably either brainwashed. I don't know if there's the same sort of infusion of Nihil blood, of Nameless blood or something. They don't go into that, but they imply it. If you've read Tears of the Nameless by George Mann, you can kind of tell. Clearly, he's not affected by the Nameless the same way that Ty and Druin are, and so that confrontation finally gets her to face her past, and she's able to, if not rejoin the Jedi full on, at least make peace with them more. And so it felt to me like I could see at first feeling a little fast, but I think it felt to me on second reading more satisfying, that especially when you think about this whole story going back, what we've had since 2021 around there, it felt more satisfying. And then of course we know, as I'll get to whenever we get to it in the news here, that's not the end of Ty's story, not the end of Kevin Scott writing Ty Yorrick. And so it is a good kind of cap of this 4-issue run, kind of mini run here, and of course her story so far. And we know that with High Republic, everyone somehow is going to tie in what Charles Soule is saying about Trials of the Jedi, how everything is going to come together somehow. Maybe she's not be in Trials of the Jedi in the same way that she maybe had her cameo in the Rising Storm, but I think it underlies kind of again the way the Jedi can still be a home for people who are kind of on the outs and coming back in. And so it was that moment with Elzar and the robes, and Druin saying, "What are those robes of a Jedi, of someone who helps people," even though Elzar doesn't quite like those robes at the end. So I enjoyed this book. again, it in the grand scheme of things, maybe a bit of a footnote, maybe, but we'll see. But I didn't mind it. I don't know if it's been a bit since you read it, I know, Chris, but have you any thoughts on High Republic Adventures Saber for Hire #4?
Yeah, well, reading this when you are at a convention and you're, having lack of sleep and you're kind of groggy and whatnot, I'm just like,
and you don't drink coffee.
Reading the story, just going like, this is a big meh for me. I'm just this is a big meh, and I don't know what it is with Ty Yorrick's character and the way that Cavan writes her, because he does a great job with the Marvel comics. Like, I think it's just the darn way that Dark Horse just slipped up with the release schedule, man. Like,
maybe
they keep doing this with these, with her story specifically. Everything else is coming out reasonably on time. It's like, why did this one get delayed like 2 months? Because now I don't even like remember what the heck happened in the last issue. We have her come in to save the day at the last minute with Druin. It's like, that seemed rushed to me. I all these comics this year, these 4-issue comics, we keep saying over and over, they need another issue. It just feels like these last issues, it's like, oh, it's another happy ending. Like, we got through the occlusion zone.
Right.
Oh yeah, don't worry. We just got a path engine and hooked up to the ship. It's like, at this point, why is everybody not doing this on the Jedi Order and just going over and just obliterating the Nile? Like this, some of the constraints now just feel like they're getting too stretched thin with the overall scope of this story. And it just, same thing happened with what is it called? Beware the Nameless. Like, all of a sudden, Ram Jamaram, and nobody could explain this even on Twitter that I posted this. Why is Ram Jamaram all of a sudden out of the occlusion zone on the that scientific ship? I forget the name of it. Like, that wasn't explained. So
that
I
also
don't know.
had a path engine. I don't know. Didn't it?
Did it?
I don't know.
I hope it did, because I don't know how else it would have survived to get through the barrier. So that's like this. The occlusion zone has been having issues with the writing. I feel like it's been strange how they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, kind of thing. And I'm starting to see through the cracks as a reader that's paying attention to this stuff. But even with, I don't know, like I guess like the whole premise of the story is to make Ty Yorrick a likable character.
Yeah.
She is very much the stoic, stern, cold character. And then we get this character named Druin, who apparently is force sensitive because he felt the effects of the Nameless.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool, I guess. Like, okay, like this guy, he's too old to be a Jedi at this point. But, the idea that he can use the Force or at least sense things is interesting. I mean, I like how she has the visions. That's cool. How she has the visions of the Master, like going through the other... the transformation by Bullet. And that's another red mark against this. How the heck is this guy not affected by Nameless? Like, he is a Jedi Knight, for crying out loud, and he does not even have any negative effect in proximity of the Nameless. Like, explain to me that, because that just seems like everything against the initiative. Like, anybody that's force sensitive should be crippled by these things. I don't understand that.
I think two things. I think Suckers is also force sensitive. He's a brother of the Ninth Door. I think both, there is a constant low hum of being drained off, but it's sort of delayed or kind of held off by being infused with Nameless blood. And there is sort of this affinity and this ability to control. Like, I think the Nameless, like we see in terms of the Nameless, they can choose who they actually attack with the Force. It's right. I mean, there's the moment in I'll spoil a bit of Tears of the Nameless, with Comac and Wreath in the Ptolemite ruins, and the Nameless are going for Comac and Wreath, but instead but Comac opens up the tomb, the casket there, and goes for one of the ancients instead. And so I think they have a choice. And so because they're being controlled by him, by the blood and the Probably similar thing to Sakuras, with even the like the torture device.
Yeah. I
These
just
different
feel
things.
like,
They could have spelled it
I
out more, maybe.
yeah, I mean, the only thing is like Sakaris is a brother knight Thor.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, I could be wrong, but like his force sensitivity level has got to be a lot less than a Jedi Master.
Probably.
So that's why I'm just like, even if that's the case, like you think this, it's weird. Yeah, I'll explain it with like I'll explain it away, just saying, okay, his blade got transfused. I guess that's how they work. But it seemed like, and again, it might be because these issues came out so long ago.
Sure.
It seemed like this was a thing out of left field, like with her master. Like we've barely ever seen her master or heard about him.
Right.
So like this reveal was kind of a big nothing burger to me because I'm just like, why am I supposed to care about this? Because I don't even know this character. Like, I guess that's interesting, but like he wasn't built up enough for me to have any kind of emotional connection or resonance with me.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me just felt like it felt a little bit flat to me in the most part.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that. I can see both needing an issue between 3 and 4 to really dig into that more. Right? Dug into it a little bit with the flashbacks, previous issues. Maybe have a whole issue that's flashbacks and spelling out why he isn't affected by the Nameless in the same way. I do see that, and that would help also with the pacing. But when my thing, focusing on Ty's story, is just more satisfying to me. But fair enough. I do see what you're getting at there. Do you have any further thoughts on this one before we dive in?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to get into. From Coruscant Comic-Con, comics and more. So we're mostly going to focus on comics news. We're mostly going to focus on a lot from the panel that I didn't go to that you went to, Chris. So I'll probably rely on you for remembering that panel. This is also from the StarWars.com article that came out because it was my main source of news. And the first thing I'll get into is Hyperspace Stories original graphic novels. They are still alive. So kicking it back to 2023 when those things were announced. We were in the room when those things were announced. The original graphic novels, all ages, because they're Dark Horse. And there's a bit more news that suggests it's still alive. And so, first off, the Qui-Gon book that was announced in 2023, we got some internal art from that, and some insight that will focus on 2 key points in his life. And I'm gonna bring up a name I just mentioned. Yeah. So this is again from the article. Focus on 2 key. I'm quoting here: 2 key points in his life when he was a Padawan of Count Dooku, and he was a teacher to young Obi-Wan. And how? So that's one interesting thing.
See, I didn't even mention that at the panel.
So then, might not have. I mean, that's another interesting thing is what they didn't mention, what they're saving for this website article. There you go. And also that both stories are connected to the mysterious Brotherhood of the Ninth Door that we get more in Phase 2 of High Republic, right? In the Battle of Jeddah. We kind of follow that Calvin Scott in the audio drama, especially, George Mann in the audio drama. I think a few in the comic book as well, Calvin Scott comic book. There's that. And then we got some more reveals. There's going to be General Grievous and Mace Windu getting their own book covers. These books, and here's the covers by Michael Cho. And I love how the article put it. The Mace Windu cover saying, "This party ain't over." Like this party's over. The party ain't over. So yeah, Hyperspace Stories, original graphic novels. They are still alive. They're still happening. Chris, what do you think of this news? And what can you
news?
You mentioned. I mean,
this was already announced a year ago, dude. That's going to be my major reaction for most of these stories. I hate to be like the grump on this, but like, spoiler alert, they didn't really announce much this weekend, guys.
Yeah.
This is a spoiler alert. We can try to stretch this out as much as we can, but the long and short of it is 90% of the things in each panel we already knew about, and they were just kind of baking. And some of the stuff, which I was shocked about, was already out for like 2 or 3 months, and they were talking about like that was clearly they were padding up the panel to be like the full hour because yeah, we knew that they were doing insider stories for Lydia Kang. We knew that this book and they spent like 10 minutes talking about Churro the Hutt. We knew about this character. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the premise of this discussion tonight is like, I don't know what's going on anymore. We heard rumblings that they're announcing stuff today or tomorrow because of solicits. Like, couldn't they have just announced that yesterday to make the panels more worthwhile? I mean, they're fine. Like, as far as like the authors talking about what they work on and providing insight. But as far as like anything like last year, I'll be just straight up like this was nothing like last year.
Fair, yeah. I mean, and maybe that kind of bring this back up here. My rant about this on your video. Go check that out. Folks who are watching, go check out youtube.com/StarAfter. It's true they didn't release much. What I'm wondering is kind of the sense of that it's still alive, that they're still going. Because I mean, is this new? Is the Grievous Mace Windu news? Is that new?
Well, here's the thing: when we got the original announcement on Dark Horse website, they announced like every character that's getting one already in this solicit. So they already knew. We already knew about this. We knew about Obi-Wan. We knew about Darth Vader. I think Luke Skywalker might be getting one. Leia might be getting one. We knew the whole thing already. So like, yeah, it's cool to see artwork, but stuff we already knew. Honestly. Okay. I'm excited for the Mace Windu one. I love how Mace Windu is getting so much like hype between the but we'll put it this way, like counting all the Mace Windu content, it's insane for the calendar year. It's like you start off with the Living Force, which he is basically a main character now. Like his whole journey. You finished that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Him going to like get his apprentice Depa Billaba, who was undercover and gets captured, and he's like fighting against like great stuff there. Then we got the mini series, which was really cool with him and with the Coaxium. And then I'm reading the Glass Abyss book, going, oh, this is like pretty good Mace Windu content, like this really darker side that we know his character is. Like we're dealing with criminals, and it's the way he's dealing with them is pretty violent and stuff. Like this is pretty cool. And then we're getting this now. So I'm wondering, like, okay, what is this story going to be about? What blank in the slate of Mace Windu's history is going to fill in? So that's like 4 different pieces of content in an entire year with Mace Windu, which is like, you asked me that like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, like, hey, do you ever think we would get a lot of Mace Windu content? Like, no, that ship has sailed. And we're getting 4 different stories in like a year. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. It makes me think, again, I can't help but think what Stephen Barton said about this character. He said it twice, so it's stuck in my craw in a good way. That previously Mace Windu was just a cipher for the corruption of the Jedi, for the militarization of the Jedi. Even though he's the one who says we're keepers of the peace, not soldiers. Yeah, this idea of him being just a cipher. He had this great line. These other authors that we couldn't imagine him making pancakes in his underwear or whatever, in his pajamas.
Oh yeah, he kept saying that.
That's funny. And by that he meant there's a need to flesh him out as a real person, as a real character, and not just a plot device, and not just someone who serves a story function and needs to actually do something and move things forward. Not just the guy who is the one Palpatine gets his face mash about, in Revenge of the Sith, which I love. I love that movie with all my heart. But I get that point. And so even thinking about that Mark Bernadette comic, right? Mark Bernadette comic goes into his origins, his birth planet, and kind of this connection to this other character that he encounters. And so, yeah, hopefully Glass Abyss continues that. Hopefully this original graphic novel continues that too, even though it's an all ages book. This is gonna be an all ages book. So those tend to be more action heavy, more kind of less more surfacey. I think there's an opportunity, especially to influence younger readers to see to see a black character as a full-fledged
True.
person. And that's Stephen Barnes. He implied it in the author panel. He came out explicitly with it in the Lucasfilm publishing panel. So yeah, that's a great point there. Maybe just you seem surprised about the Qui-Gon news. That both Padawan of Count Dooku and teacher of young Obi-Wan. Now we've gotten lots of that, especially Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice. Got a bit of that in Living Force by John Jackson Miller, as you mentioned. We got Tales of the Empire or Tales of the Jedi, the Dooku episode there. And so I'm wondering, but here's the thing: we haven't gotten them together like this, and so that'll be. There's got to be some through line between the two of them, and getting the Brother of the Ninth Door. I mean, that's we. I mean, I'm curious to hear more about them. They're this sort of quasi dark side sect that the Jedi don't seem to be as suspicious of. At least that's what the sense I get in the Battle of Jeddah. So I mean, that's 350 years before this. So who knows what's changed by this point? But definitely very intriguing that they're going to be this. They're choosing this as the through line, and not Satine and the Mandalorians. But we do want that. That's
I don't understand why they haven't done that story yet. It's crazy to me.
Maybe that's the Obi-Wan book. That's possible. So, any last thoughts on these hyperspace stories, original graphic novels? Nope, we're good. All right, moving right along. Poe is back. This is a bit of a very short, quick one here. Not much info. Not much info. We don't really know. We don't even have a release date for this, but Ethan Sachs is running for Dark Horse. Did he start off on the panel, or did he join it halfway? No, it was cool. It was cool. It was a nice reveal because I didn't even notice there was an empty seat on there. And then all of a sudden Michael Seglain was like, "Oh yeah, Ethan Sachs is here. Let's talk to him about his next book." And he just walked up and he just introduced it. I mean, he was just saying, "Oh yeah, read Poe Dameron Freefall to prepare for this, and I'm writing a BB-8 and Poe Dameron story shortly before the events of The Force Awakens." So Before the Beginning, which is a novel, I believe, I think it was called Before the Beginning or Before the Awakening, I think. Yeah. We had a Poe Dameron story of how he gets into the Resistance. Yeah. So I'm wondering if this takes place shortly, beyond that. We see Poe Dameron in Star Wars Resistance, ushering in Kazuda into the Resistance. So maybe it'll be around that era, which is a year before Force Awakens or something like that. So very curious to see how this is in the timeline. Everybody was tight-lipped about it. There was absolutely no details at all. It was so bad with the secrecy. We talk about this with the J.J. Abrams stuff, right? Obviously the cover image or the teaser image is Poe Dameron in an X-Wing. And at one point, Ethan Sachs thought he spoiled the book by saying something about, "Oh yeah, Poe Dameron's in an X-Wing," and then he looked over at Michael Seglain. He's like, "Could I say that?" And then Michael was just like, "Well, he was that was literally depicted on the cover of him in an X-Wing, so I'd assume so." This is the level of secrecy we've got. Behind it. It's on the website. I didn't catch that one, but I didn't download that one, but yeah. Again, go to youtube.com/StarRaptor for my rant on all of that. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be interesting. Greg Rucka, that book by Greg Rucka. Yeah, Greg Rucka. I actually picked that one up. It's a kid's book. Interesting little cover by Phil Noto. Just looking at this right now. I think I read the Finn and Rey stories. I didn't read the Poe one. I might want to go back and read the Poe one just for fun. But yeah, so hey, Ethan, you're writing. I mean, I'm always up for more Ethan Sachs. Seriously, he's always, everything he's done is great. Interesting going from Marvel to Dark Horse. I don't think that was that big of it. That's that big of a deal, but because it's still in Star Wars. But interesting, just the way the comic industry works. That's actually kind of unusual, I find, except for High Republic. High Republic is its own beast that they go back and forth. But that because Dark Horse is not an imprint of Marvel. It's its own independent company. So, um, picking up that license there, and writing, hey, sequel trilogy content, why not? It's good that he mentioned Free Fall by Alex Segura, and he read that. And get this, guys, we actually talked to Alex Segura at New York Comic Con. Well, first of all, before I do that, before I make my great segue, any last thoughts on this Poe Dameron book? Okay, so we actually ended up talking to Alex Segura at New York Comic Con on the Sunday, just going around Artist Alley there, and really great art. It's the best Artist Alley in the universe. I don't know if it's better than San Diego, but everyone's there, and so we just
it's better than San Diego. I can confirm.
That's good to know. Had the microphone there and just came up to him and asked him some questions, just like I did with Mark Guggenheim and Rod Newbarnes at Fan Expo Canada. And so we're gonna show you that if I can figure out how to get that up right now. Let's do that. I'm gonna play this interview for you right now. Even
here we go.
That up there. Here we go. New York Comic Con 2024 with the one and only Alex Segura, of course, writing Battle of Jakku, the 12-issue maxi series going on right now at a very wonderfully quick clip. Chris, you got the first question.
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to know what it was like for Lucasfilm to just approach you with this grand idea, because this is a story that I think a lot of fans have wanted to see for a long time, right? We've gotten stories around other characters besides like the big three right after Battle of Endor. So this is a huge time. People have really been anticipating seeing Luke, especially after Return of the Jedi. Like, how is he after confronting Vader, but before Mandoverse and before obviously in Last Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So what was it like for you to be kind of giving over sort of like free reign to dealing with these characters at a time that we've been wanting to see them for literally like 40 years or whatever?
I mean, it was amazing. It's a huge honor to be playing with these not only iconic characters, but adding to the mythos by bringing in new characters and bringing in other characters from different media. And I think people have been pleasantly surprised by the villain and how things are going and how we are weaving through established canon, but also adding a new element. So I think, without spoiling anything, by the end of it, you'll know the big beats that happen, but you'll probably see most of them in a different light, which is the goal.
Yeah, you had mentioned that there's a lot of other things that we're weaving in at this specific time frame. Yeah. You mentioned Adelhard. I couldn't believe it when I seen that guy on the cover. Adelhard. And like everything with that character from an Uprising video game on mobile, which I played in 2015, like this little character plucked from this game. Yeah. And just like this previous issue, picking up right after the events of Battlefront 2's mission with Luke, where you had gone to the observatory with Del Mico and got the compass, and he's beset upon by acolytes of beyond from the Aftermath trilogy. What was it like with all, like, how did that work creatively? Like, were you giving a bunch of notes or something? Like, how does that work when you're juggling all this pre-existing kind of stories that intersected like that? Because you've done a really good job with like juggling everything and making it really cohesive, you know?
I appreciate that. I think it's less about like dealing with stuff as a problem. It's more, what's the opportunity? Like, you see what the canon is. I don't want anyone to ever like read this and be like, oh, this negates what I thought was canon. So I treated it like this happened. So what's the story that's weaving between these things and can be its own thread? But also, like, let's use these tools and use these moments to add to them. Like, you know, Luke going to Pilio and then the acolytes show up. So I thought it was a cool twist on it. So the next time you play the game, you're thinking about it. Oh, well, he's going to get jumped by the acolytes right after this moment. Or you're playing Uprising and you're like, this guy plays a much bigger role than what we see in this game. So it's really, that's the benefit of a mythos that's so strong.
Yeah, I want to jump in. Specifically about the opportunity with Luke, again, having him encounter the acolytes of the Beyond in a story that, Chuck Wendig, left a lot of pockets for, and Shattered Empire, not in, just in terms of now that we have, I guess, the sequel trilogy is part. I mean, is that maybe a two-part question? Is it partly with Lucasfilm the fact that we have all the sequel trilogy that we can now go back and fill in that story with the big three, especially with Luke, and then specifically with Luke, obviously without spoiling anything, in terms of his character in this moment, in this time, and where he's come from, especially with the end of Charles Soule's run and Greg Pak's run, and of course Return of the Jedi, the film that came out in 1983 that we've had, but with where he's just come from and then where we know he's headed, even a little bit with Mandu and Grogu and everything there. What's the opportunity in this time frame in this year for his story, including with the Acolytes of the Beyond?
Yeah, I mean, it's in broad strokes, you know where he's going to be a ways from now, but that still leaves you a lot of runway to explore his character in the immediate aftermath of Endor. Like, what is he questioning? He wants to know more about his background, his legacy as the Last Jedi, and what that means. And so that's been really fertile territory. And also, like, the different approaches Luke and Leia take, and they have a conversation about it in Jakku number 1. Like, she doesn't want to, study under him, and Luke. So it's about exploring those different paths and doing it correctly under the overall umbrella of the story. But there's a lot of fertile spots to play character moments.
And maybe to pick up a bit of what Chris was saying, in terms of, I mentioned Chuck Wendig, the Aftermath trilogy, this big sprawling book, all the other materials. We don't need to list them here. Did you read all the way through and get a sense of what the overall flow is? Just again, reread recently, or
I read them all. I read them all when they came out. Chuck's a friend of mine, and then I reread them for this series just to kind of get in the zone. So I'm dancing kind of around what Chuck did, but it's also a very different story. So I think when you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, that's what's happening, it'll be a pleasant surprise.
Go for it.
Yeah, so what's really cool about this book is it's different than the other ones, as far as the way it's coming out, right? Every 2 weeks we're getting an issue, which is just awesome because every issue so far, it's a great cliffhanger. I'm like, I can't wait to read the next issue, and I don't have to wait 5 to 6 weeks for it either. Now, as a creator, did that affect the creation of the story at all? Did you know ahead of time that this was going to be released the way it is currently?
I knew it was going to be an accelerated release schedule. I knew it was going to be a year of story. I knew it was going to be compacted in a cool way, and that way it's almost like a weekly series, And so you get a lot of story every couple weeks. You get some great artwork: Leonard Kirk, Jethro Morales, Stefano Raphael. I think Luke Ross does a little bit too, and it really changes how you approach it because you know that these stories are going to be coming fast. So I always wanted to make sure there's big action, big elements, and overall, I wanted readers to feel like this is an important story. I didn't want to minimize this moment because everyone, even when you only watch the original trilogy, you're like, what happened after? Because the new trilogy starts so much later. So there's a lot of fertile ground to cover.
Yeah. Speaking of switching gears to Poe Dameron, I really enjoyed Poe Dameron Freefall, and as I finished that book those years ago, I said, oh my gosh, I hope this is a series of books because the way his adventures are, it could be fitting in a nice small series of books, which exactly. And recently at the panel yesterday at Dark Horse, we had Ethan Sachs come up and say he just finished or is reading the book because he's doing a Poe Dameron series. Have you guys talked at all with anything
like dinner earlier at the show, and he mentioned it to me, and I was like, I'm happy for you. That's awesome. Poe, there's a lot of ground to cover there with Poe's time before he gets into the New Republic and after his time as a Spice Runner.
It's so good, so good. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess my last question, similar to the ones before. Did you need to give Ethan any kind of notes, any kind of thoughts, and any conversation with Charles about his run?
We're always talking. We're friends. We're always chit chatting. So Ethan is a great writer. He doesn't need to talk to me, but we're always in conversation. Yeah.
Anything in particular that you mentioned to him?
No, we just chat. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got. I don't know if you have any more. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I know. Hopefully, you had a great New York Comic Con 2024. Yeah. All right. All right. So that was our exclusive interview with Alex Segura, writing, of course, Battle of Jakku. You saw all the covers up there. I really appreciated, especially his comment about it not being, a puzzle to fit, but an opportunity to tell Luke's story and, really just what the kinds of things he's questioning and wondering. And obviously didn't give anything away there. And definitely, I mean, it's kind of not obvious, but I don't say the obvious answer, the right answer, that how much he trusts Ethan to take what he's written, what Charles has written, and to go with it and continue on with it. Of course, set in between those two books, two stories, but it was pretty good interview. I thought.
Yeah, Yeah, I was happy we were able to do that. I mean, there were so many Star Wars creators there.
Mhm.
We ended up chit-chatting with oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name.
With Charles
The
Soule a little
Jedi
bit.
Knights.
Oh,
Oh
Mark
yeah, we
Guggenheim.
talked with a couple of
Yeah.
them actually.
Yeah. So, and we'll get into the
Mark Guggenheim.
That's right. I blank on names all the time too, so it's okay. Yeah. So we'll get into the Mark Guggenheim news a little bit. I definitely got into that more in our day 2 update. Yeah. So it was good, and we chatted a bit with Charles. Nothing too earth shattering that he was going to say. But yeah. So that's our Alex Segura interview. Again, Alex, thank you so much for I don't know if you're watching, but thank you so much for taking your time, and always loving Artistality. That's what Artistality is so good for. Again, I'm going to reiterate this. Our buddy from where you are, he got a Funko Pop signed, a Thrawn Funko Pop signed by Tim Zahn for $10. You just walk up to his table. I got my copy of Heir of the Empire signed for free by Tim Zahn.
Wow.
If that was Lars Mikkelsen, it'd be $200, right? And it'd be such a long line. If you want to meet, just for anyone watching, anyone thinking about cons, if you want to meet with and chat with and meet and chat with these incredible Star Wars creatives, it is so simple, so easy to do. They want you to come and chat. They are happy that you are going and engaging their content. And so for the most part, some will charge for a signature, and the only reason they'll probably charge is because they don't want it to just end up on eBay for $200 later or wherever, or Kijiji. But if you're clearly a fan, they're just happy to engage. I was even got Charles to sign. He and Ryan Barnes did a creator-owned image comic called the Lucky Devils, and I was like, here, can you sign this for me? And he was happy. He was grateful there. So again, that it's a lot closer of a connection to folks who I think frankly are as talented and as skilled in mechanics of storytelling than as anybody working on the TV shows and the films. So that's gone for you. Any more thoughts on the Alex Segura interview or Artist Alley?
Yeah, Artist Alley is just amazing. Definitely the best one on the planet, I believe. I mean, you have creators coming from literally all ends of the earth. I mean, we even had different people from the Star Wars Harvey Talabau, right?
Yeah.
I believe he's all the way from the Philippines. I might be jumping the gun on there. I'll let you get more to that part of the panel before I talk about that, though.
Well, but I think he was an Artist Alley too, probably. So, but let's dive into that. That's the next item right there. So, I think the biggest, most consistent thing that came out, not so much news, big earth-shattering news, but things that they talked about were High Republic adventures. And I think there's some reveals here. The first thing to say is that all roads lead to Ariadu.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially, so we got the news that High Republic Adventures, the DJO's main run for Dark Horse, numbers 14 to 17 are going to culminate in the Battle of Ariadu. Gotta be clear with that.
Wow, they're going to 17 issues?
Yeah, so apparently going to 17 issues.
That's more than phase 1.
Battle of Ariadu, and here's Harvey Talabau writing this epic collecting covers. These things are my weakness. Connecting covers are my weakness. Because these are probably going to be variants. These are not going to be direct editions. Direct edition. But so the Battle of Ariadu, everything converging on that in this comic. Also, as you mentioned, I guess you didn't mention this part, but Alyssa Wong writing a one-shot comic on the Battle of Ariadu.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We'll just take a look at this. This is Harvey Talabau.
Because I was so far away from the screen that I couldn't really see it.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I'm actually looking at this image. And the fact that Lula Talasoto is wielding a double-bladed lightsaber is just insane to me. That's crazy.
And then Markian's in there. I guess he's going to get the Ariadu somehow. Tarkin Falvey business kicking up dust with galaxy-spanning implications. Yeah, and so I mean, Alyssa Wong writing a one shot. Also, so I was gonna say is, so I did live tweet. This was from the Lucasfilm Publishing panel on Friday, and I did live tweet this. For some reason, the screen, maybe my angle that I was sitting at, well, I've tweeted this on the main SW Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Didn't get as clear view, so that's another reason. So here, definitely, in all its glory, these connecting variants, all their glory. And then as mentioned, Alyssa Wong writing this one shot, and they're going to be busy. A whole bunch coming out from them in High Republic Adventures, specifically writing one shot on the Battle of Ariadu, and then also Lydia Kang in her Insider Shorts, featuring the Adrins at the Battle of Ariadu. So this one, it seems like it's a big deal, and this is what I thought is, there's everything between Ariadu City and Baifrang, but it seems like it's going to escalate into a wider regional skirmish conflict. You got Yoda up there. I'm just noticing this now. All these Jedi with their lightsabers and the Nile on the other side there. It's a border, right? It's right on the Occlusion Zone. The Occlusion Zone moves to cover Ariadu. And, historically, border territories are the most hotly contested. And it's going to be almost like a beachhead. It seems like it's trying to think of historical parallels here, like D-Day, the D-Day landing, or like Gibraltar, for example, which it's not, that wasn't necessarily highly contested, but these very strong border confrontations. Go back to Canadian history, in Southern Ontario here, Niagara and upstate New York were in the War of 1812, were very very hotly contested. So Ariadu, it definitely, it makes sense, and that also speaks to the way this High Republic Adventures comic probably has more to do with the overall story than even Kevin Scott's High Republic comic. I think that's going to change next year, and I'll get to that later. But this seems to be a big deal with the Battle of Ariadu here. So again, with High Republic Adventures, with Alyssa Wong writing their one shot, I believe probably also for Dark Horse and Lydia Kang, Insider Short. So what do you think about the Battle of Ariadu?
Another thing I noticed is there's what appears to be the storm seeds that hold together the storm shield in the back. And I don't know if we've ever got an official image of them. So that's pretty cool to see them, because we see a lot of the books are trying to shut them down. The previous High Republic young adult novel. There we go. What was the first one released for Phase 3? Because there was a lot of that going on where they were going to try to destroy those things, and it wasn't working. But no, it's good. Like overall, looking at the High Republic stuff on Dark Horse side of things with that panel is how well everything is integrated. I thought for sure we would get a Marvel miniseries like the Blade again that would integrate pretty well into the ongoing. So the Marvel stuff is kind of over right now. So it is over. So now it's just okay. All eyes are on, the Tales. Wait, no, not Tales from the Inclusion Zone.
Dispatches from the Inclusion Zone, which I can get to also, because there's more news from that. But if you go ahead.
I'm just the overarching story of all these Dark Horse comics, these characters transferring. Saber Friar issue 4, this, and you have the one with Reese Silas in it.
Echoes of Fear.
Yes, that one. So, and then you have these one-shot stories with Crash Landing and the upcoming Wedding Spectacular, and it's almost like, oh my gosh, like Dark Horse is running the High Republic.
a little bit. So I mean, especially that's the impression coming out of New York Comic Con. It keeps going, like you mentioned, Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone. So we have Kevin Scott, as I alluded to at the top of this episode, continuing Ty Yorrick's story where we left off. What her and Druid and probably monster hunters, but she seems more, now that she's wherever she left off, she seems more in cahoots with the Jedi, more willing to be somewhat more like a way seeker, certainly not willing to be under the Guardian protocols, but we'll see. Daniel Jose Older, I'm quoting from the article here, has Jedi detective Emmerich Kaftor teaming up with Nihil scientist Niv Drendo.
Wait, what?
Yeah. And yeah, and that, even the article says, yes, you read that right. So there might be some sort of turncoat or something there. I mean, what gets me to think about, with Tears of the Nameless, really going into what happened to the Nameless and why, they're also victims. Niv Drendo, he's got this heart for these characters, these creatures, and maybe there's some reason for it to say if the Jedi are starting to, and the RDC especially, starting to try and actually bring them home and keep them safe. Maybe Niv Drendo actually turns and says, "No, Bulan, you're using them for the wrong ends." He's going to have a change of heart. I don't know, or maybe some sort of kind of contingent arrangement that the two need to have. And then so long again, they're busy. Cat and mouse story of Drigget and Rue. Forget who's Rue again. I don't remember. But I know.
Wait, Rue is the guy with the white hair that's insecure, that's got anxiety, that has dyslexia. Right. He is like the awkward one. That is very steeped in the dark side of the Force. Like he does a lot of. The only reason I've literally just read this story yesterday, so I know exactly what it's about. You're talking about the short story, right?
No, this is the cat and mouse. This is from Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone.
Oh,
but yeah, that makes sense that in Lydia Kang, the Insider Shorts.
Well, I guess I spoiled it for you. That's who's in it.
Okay. That's fine. You don't give me too much, but it makes sense. It picks up from where that came up. My Insider issue hasn't come in yet, so we'll get to that. But yeah, so Drigget, of course, from Valo, former friend of the three Jedi younglings who are on Valo that feature in future stories. Right, Rue being the trans character from Crash Onga's crew on Corellia. It's interesting that Drigget being involved in that. So yeah, that's the dispatches for the Occlusion Zone. I can keep going here. Hierarchical Adventures Annual featuring Zoraida Cordova. So these are kind of these little snippets of story that we're getting here. It's going to be an annual featuring Zoraida Cordova and the return of the Charles and Rosemary Soul father-daughter team up. Soul's story will feature characters from their children's book, Jedi Brave in Every Way. And as you mentioned, Cordova continues Churro the Hutt's adventure. He's got to be on the outs from his family. Where's he going? Is he going to kind of get asylum in the Republic or something? And then a curious one. Here's this interesting one that I don't know if that was brought up. I don't know if this was brought up in any of the panels, but Justina Ireland is going back to before Phase 1 with a story featuring Padawan Vernestra Rowe, and she quoting learns a valuable lesson from Master Stellan Gios, and that's got to connect somehow, maybe to the Acolyte novel or to to Phase 3 of High Republic somehow. I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what banner that's under. But yeah, so those are kind of the smaller shows. Was the Justina Ireland book, was that mentioned in the Dark Horse panel? Gotta unmute there.
No, it was not.
It wasn't. Okay, so that's just thrown into the website there. There we go. What do you think of all these other stories from High Republic Adventures?
Yeah, it's good to see that we're getting so many writers on board for the one book. It's nice to see different voices, different characters. It's going to be all over the place, but that'll be cool because I remember the last one was pretty in depth with just all the different storylines connecting. So
these are the dispatches, you mean? Specifically, yeah. I like the way dispatches, again, picking up different stories that we characters we haven't seen in a bit. Of course, Ty Yorrick we just saw, Drigget and Root we just saw, but I will have seen soon when my issue comes in. Yeah, but these different characters that, I mean, again, thinking of what Charles was saying about Trials of the Jedi, how everything comes together. They have their little part to play, especially Emmerich, I think, has a lot to play. Anyone who's been involved in the Nameless is going to have something to do here and in the wider story. So, and of course, Drew gets connected to Niv Drendo a little bit. So yeah, these different characters, different kind of tying up these loose ends a little bit, carrying these forward. So that what do you think of this Padawan Vernestra Row book? Do we think where do we think it connects, or do we think it's just some fun popular story?
I thought they would have finished up the High Republic before they would have started doing those books. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting how they're pushing them out so quickly, and Trials won't be out yet. So that's my first thought was, I wish these could have been like out after the High Republic is completely concluded, just to like give more context for Justina with that book. I would have liked to see callbacks and stuff to High Republic, but it's probably going to be just a completely separate thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you never know. Again, it's my gut is telling me this has more to do with the Acolyte novel, but it's probably going to be under the High Republic Adventures banner. The question again is, is the logo going to be gold, or is it going to be black? Like a phase 1 story, a phase 3 story, or it's not going to matter. It's a standalone, but kind of announcing it as part of it. Any last thoughts on High Republic Adventures news? I know we did a lot in a little bit. Definitely a lot.
Well, yeah, no, they announced something that I don't think you mentioned with the Alyssa Wong one shot with the War of Iradu.
Yeah, the Battle of Iradu. Yeah, I mentioned.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a cool moment on the panel with DJO and Harvey Talabal meeting for the first time, and they've been working together for 5 years, and DJO gave him his own like personal like piece of art that he made to Harvey. So that was really cool. Like they, to be working so hard with one another through online, through email, text, whatever, and to finally meet in person is, after being so entwined with this initiative, that's cool to see. And there you can see the brotherly love right there in front of us. So that was awesome.
Yeah, where is he from? Harvey Talabao.
I'm pretty sure he's from Philippines.
He's Philippines, yeah. That's wild to think that they hadn't met in person until last week. Because such great work over the last number of years. So really, I mean, because Harvey does such a great job capturing the feel of DJO's stories. Yeah, it's amazing just what can be done.
Yeah.
Obviously, being at a con, the thing I always mention, being at a con, being in person, hanging out, there's something to that, but kind of the Marvel method, if you will. But of course, this is Dark Horse. But yeah, to see, but yeah, that it was a nice moment that folks at that panel got to witness. I was at the Star Trek panel. That's why I know. Hey, it was a great panel. Hear more of my thoughts on that panel on your channel, Star. There you go. Okay, let's moving right along. We're almost there. Can't keep a good Lorna down. So this first off, there's a question about what's her story, where's her story going. I mean, now we are going into there were a bit more of the Marvel adult comics news, but first off, this is it's from the audio play. Just a visual from that. This is one of my favorite visuals of this whole Lucasfilm Publishing panel. Lorna confronting Markian on this tango, this dance. And this is probably a moment in the audio play. What is a moment in the audio play? Need to get a visual of it. That was cool. To see what's going on here. I am 99% sure this is an assassination attempt.
Yeah, probably.
Given where Lorna's going, but just it's kind of spectacular that she does it in this way. Like what I'm curious of what leads her to want to have this kind of dance, and by kind of dance I mean literal dance, but also the intrigue, the palace intrigue, and the kind of reinserting herself into that world in order to be part of taking him down. I hope if anyone's the one to do it, I hope it's her and not what's his face from the High Republic Ventures comic. Why am I blanking on his name? The one who was the crush on Lula, or
Oh, Chris Cameron?
yeah, correct. It's not Lula. Yeah,
Zine Morales.
Zine. Yeah, I hope it's Lorna who's the one to take him down and not Crix, but we'll see. See if he doesn't get taken down at all. But this is such a great, almost bizarre character moment there, and then we can come back to this in a minute. But then we got the cover for issue 2 of this restarted High Republic comic. This is issue 2 of Marvel High Republic 2025. So interesting to see that she survived. She's still around. She's still kicking after. So I should say
Damn it! They spoiled the storyline. I thought maybe she would die.
A little bit, yeah. Because we do see Keeve in number 1, right? Keeve's in the cover for number 1, right? So yeah, that I guess that's a bit. Is that a bit of a spoiler? I guess a little bit, but yeah, again, you can't keep Lorna down. You just can't keep Lorna down. So there's our favorite Twilight anti-hero on this restarted cover with Kalnaka there on the ground. I don't know who is that, Taserek, whoever else that is. So continuing the story from the 2023 comic from phase 3, but in this new numbering, because I do think this is gonna be pretty significant. What's going on again? That's why I've said this before. Why they ended this issue, the 2023 run early, to fold some story into this audio play and make it more substantial. And that's good because I'm here for it. I'm considering this part of the comic book story, and so we're gonna talk about it here on Tractor Beam. But yeah, so what do you think of both of these Lorna D reveals?
Yeah, they're great. I mean, she's a major focus of these stories. So to see her still kicking, still being unsure of what her true allegiance is. Yeah. Started off as a Tempest runner, then she's working with Keeve Trennis in the Jedi. Then we see her back with Markion Rouse. So it's one of those characters that's keeping us on our toes. So it's nice to see that it's going to be well represented in this audio drama. After listening to the latest Star Wars audio drama, that was more of like an audio book, I guess, but the Padawan something.
Oh yeah, that's this whole other thing.
Yeah, so this is actually going to be like a little step higher because we got different actors for different characters and more music and more sound effects. So I'm always looking forward to that. I wish Lucasfilm would do more of these. I would like to see 2 or 3 of these kind of things a year. So we'll see.
They've both of them so far. There's been only 2 in the High Republic so far.
3.
There's been 3 in High Republic.
Tempest Runner, Tempest Breaker, Battle of Jeddah.
So yeah, so the 2 we've gotten so far, Tempest Runner and Battle of Jeddah, have been pivotal. I mean, like hinge moments, especially Battle of Jeddah.
I don't remember much from Tempest Runner. What was critical about that one? It was more her origin story, pretty much, wasn't it?
It's her origin, but it helps us understand. Well, first of all, it gives us some more origins for the Nile, not to the extent we get in phase 2, obviously, but kind of with Markion's father is in there and Markion's rise to power, but also Lorna, where she comes from, what she's pushing, constantly fighting against within herself. And so it helps help ground why in the phase 3 comic she ends up becoming this anti-hero to some extent.
True.
Obviously, that you mentioned it, it's an assassination attempt here. We're seeing her dance with Markion. We don't know what you're right. We don't know what she wants to do after that. Or when the dust settles. It's also called Tempest Breaker. What's she hoping for to replace it? One of the things thinking about in terms of a Battle of Jakku comic is with the Underworld, right? If it's a power vacuum, the Underworld comes in. Is she going to go in that direction? We don't know. we don't have much about the Underworld and High Republic because we're all the Republic. What do we need one for? I guess, but we got more of that in the Phase 2 of High Republic Adventures comic. So anyway, that was a bit of a never discourse excursus, if you will, but tangent. Really, she's always been such an intriguing character. So I'm happy that she's keep on going in we'll get her next year, get more of her, and see where she ends up. See how influential she is on Keith's story as well. Kind of things. Any last thoughts on Lorna?
Nope.
All right. Last little bit. I don't think I have any visuals for this. Again, we mentioned Mark Guggenheim, Madabek Muzabekov's Jedi Knight series. Go check out our day 2 panel reaction for that. But that's a bit more on that. That's pairing up Jedi. But there's a through line. When I chatted with Mark afterwards, he was like, "Oh yeah, I wish he had said this in the panel." There is a through line with Qui-Gon Jinn, and what he's up to. So it's kind of it's another Qui-Gon story we're getting here, along with the hyperspace stories and things we've gotten before, and so looking forward to that. That releases now. We know Marvel.com put out their article. That releases in March.
Okay.
So we'll see. Again, I don't quite know what ongoing means in this case. Is it? I do have one more image.
What do you mean? It just keeps going. No,
well, except that the concept doesn't quite. The concept doesn't quite make sense for that because pairing up Jedi feels more like an anthology. So there's only so much.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
There's those. I get what you're saying, but I think ongoing generally just means there's no set.
Okay.
Like date that it's going to end.
All right.
Which I would imagine it's going to be at least 10 issues if that's the case, because usually they would announce and go, "Oh, this is a mini series of 5 issues or a max series of 10 or 12." This is just one of those series that's going to be going on in the background. I could see like them even doing like the next Star Wars mainline ongoing while this is still going.
That's possible too. I'll get to that. I have more thoughts on that in a few minutes, but I guess kind of my mind says ongoing equals long run, but that's not necessarily the case. I guess so. Just because I'm used to 25 issues or 50 issues or 75 issues or what.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I guess that makes more sense in terms
of.
There's
easily 25 Jedi at least, so they could easily do 25 issues of this.
Oh, it'd be 50 Jedi. But there's easily you get 50 Jedi, sure. Be a lot though. Be a lot. So we'll see that. A bit more news. We're almost there. Promise we're almost there. This is the wrong thing there. That was what I meant to do there. This was another incredibly striking visual from that this Lucasfilm Publishing panel. Jedi in armor.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
That's amazing. This is Avar Chris putting on some armor. Jedi usually don't need armor. They have the Force. Their allies, the Force.
I have a big theory on this that relates to Temptation of the Force. You ready for it?
Well, let me finish a few thoughts and then I'll let you launch into it. Dale Zelder, in response to this, someone tweeted this. The Jedi in armor, they're gonna need it. Something it's this dire and this bad, but they're gonna need it. Interestingly, someone was connecting the dots. The very first appearance of Avar Chris was in, I believe, in Charles Soule's ongoing 2020, where Luke has a holocron of her, right? And in it, she doesn't have the mask, she doesn't have the hood, but she does have the armor on her shoulders and arms. And that, like, for that kind of foresight, that kind of planning, we didn't think anything of it because we didn't know what was going on. It's kind of this blurry, vague holocron thing, but dang, Charles, making the plans, making the fuss. So that holocron must be sort of in the aftermath of the Nile. So we'll see. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's just the striking visual, setting the stakes, setting the tension of what the Jedi are finally going to face, and also kind of the lengths they have to go to almost compromising. As a foreshadowing, we got we got kind of this foreshadowing of the Clone Wars here, with the Clone Wars era armor. So a little bit there. So yeah. Anyway, so that's those thoughts. What's your theory here?
Yeah, they're gonna lace the armor with the mineral found on that Ptolemite homeworld.
Okay.
To protect them, to kind of create like an aura around them, so the Nameless can't hurt them. That's basically what it's going to be.
That makes sense. So that's more from Tears of the Nameless then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean it's kind of like those who want to resist lightsabers using cortosis.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that could be one of the ways through. Sorry, we mentioned off the top, ways through the occlusion zone. This is one of the ways to confront the Nameless. Obviously, the Echo Stones are the key, but I don't know if that's obvious unless you've read Tears of the Nameless, or as far as even I've gotten, the Echo Stones I think are the key. But this is a necessary piece. But to say, yeah, that the hero of Hetzel herself has to cover her face, and I mean, interesting. Just a sidebar. Temple guards play an interesting role in Tears of the Nameless, and we can see them with their masks almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and the masks, even what we get in Clone Wars and Rebels, that has a very Hieroglyphic-esque design to it. Obviously, it's kind of reverse engineered, but here they are on a master. That's not a temple guard. This is a master wielding this. So. There we go. And so yeah, that's kind of all I've got. Yeah, there's the wedding special. That's exciting. We'll get to that when it comes out. One
funny thing about that, one little anecdote, excuse me, one little anecdote. So you have Harvey Talbot talking about how he writes, or he does the art, obviously, for all of these characters, and it's funny because his wife calls him out on it. He's trying to ask her about how to draw like dresses and designs, and and he's like, if it was up to me, I would just like roll out of bed in sweatpants and a t-shirt. My wife thinks I'm a robber basically with how I dress, so she's got to pick out my clothes for me because I'm an astute artist. I can't be walking around looking like I'm a bum. So the idea that he was drawing these elegant dresses, and yet himself he can't even perhaps like dress appropriately in the way he should or whatever is a funny little side of the. Again, there's a lot of good fun moments at that panel.
Yeah, it's too bad I missed it. Too bad they don't have it live streamed. I wish they I wish they live streamed it. The way I think you described it to me is it's kind of funny that he has to draw these female fashions, two women getting married, and he doesn't know anything about feminine fashion. So that's great. There we go. This is totally about having a part to play in this. Any more reveals you want to mention?
I think that's about all of them.
Okay. That's great. Yes, we've made it. We gotten all the way through. Obviously, there isn't everything we could get to. One last thing I did think of, and I mentioned a few minutes ago, I want to talk about the ongoing. So again, off the top, you said that there wasn't much in terms of real substantial reveals. We didn't get the thing we really wanted, was what's the next big era. And so again, check out my rant on youtube.com/StarRaptor. I go into that. I'll probably go into that again, maybe on Iron Cannon. I'm wondering if they haven't even. I mean, Charles said he knows what it is. He said he knows what it is on this publishing panel. And there was this awkward moment with Christina being all, she was about to go into, you're going to do this. She had her notes, and then Christina Ariel moderating the panel, which bring back Higher Public Show, please. But anyway, and Charles in this awkward thing of, I thought we were going to talk about that. We don't know when that's said or whatnot. But he says and he also said he knows what the next big thing is, big era is. I don't know. I'm wondering if I don't know what to think anymore. Again, I think on the one hand,
I know what to think.
Well, on the one
Sure.
hand, yeah, I got the whole thing about the black box, and they're just not trusting us with having it, with saying we know what this is, here it is, or we don't know what this is, bear with us. But I'm wondering, the last thing, we have two kind of ongoing books going. We have the Battle of Jakku, and we're gonna have Jedi Knights in these two different eras. And when Jedi Knights was announced, I got excited. I was like, "Oh, I turned to you and this is what I want."
Yeah.
This was it. I gasped.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that isn't the Star Wars ongoing. That isn't
No.
the focus of the era. But it may be. What if it is? What if? Because here's the thing: this is a business. What if they're going to be looking at the numbers for Battle of Jakku and looking at the numbers for Jedi Knights? What if those two books are kind of the test balloons to say where's the appetite? What do people want? Do they want a bridge to the Mandoverse, or do they want Phantom Menace into to Attack of the Clones? Obviously, I'm one person. I have my hashtag prequel shirt. You know what I want, but obviously I'll also read. Of course, I'll read Battle of Jakku and whatever else comes after that. Yeah. Again, is everything just not locked in yet? Is there, kind of deal with contracts and schedules and all this stuff?
It's not all that. I know the answer.
Okay. What do you think it is? Tell me what
they already told us. So if you read the press briefing for Battle of Jakku, they said that there's going to be hints layered in this story about what's coming next after this. Okay. They just clearly want us to finish all 12 issues of Battle of Jeddah or Battle of Jakku, and then they're going to probably have like a 1-page or advertisement for what comes next. Yeah. I just don't think, for once, I think Marvel's trying to keep a lid on it to let the readers actually experience what the next story is going to be without just a stupid solicit where you're like, well, that was anticlimactic. Let's just finish the story first, then we know what's coming next. So I feel like that's going to happen, and then they'll have the full reveal at Celebration, because by that point, or something like that, Jedi Knights could just go on for a couple months. They'll do a couple more miniseries. Like Charles Soule literally said we're going to get an announcement soon about a miniseries he's working on, or at least I assume it's a miniseries. So I think for now it's holding pattern until Battle of Jakku is officially done. Then we know what's next, and then it's probably another 3 months after Battle of Jakku before we get what's actually coming out. Because the solicits come out 3 or 4 months in advance. So yeah, I'm thinking this comes out they announced Jedi Knights so early. The Battle of Jakku will finish, I believe, in the end of January or beginning of February.
Yeah, right.
So you figure February, March, April. It could theoretically be out in May, the continuation, because that'd be 3 months after Battle of Jakku.
Yeah.
I'm just randomly doing the math to see when they would go to announce it is usually 3 months before it comes out. So if they wait till February to announce it, that'd be right around Celebration time. So I could see that then having a big panel there.
Celebration's in April, though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something this big should be announced at a con. It should. That's the thing that kind of is a head scratcher. I
don't know anymore. Ever since they announced the Battle of Jakku 3 days before Comic-Con, I'm just I don't know anymore. I think anything could happen. They could just announce it on StarWars.com tomorrow, for all we know.
They could. That's
and they've been doing that lately. They announced Reign of the Empire the day I was flying back from San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. It's you guys couldn't have just thrown this into the panel? What the hell?
It is. It is weird, right? I mean, because what about all the whole rewarding people who were in the room?
Yeah,
getting that first. I don't know, unless it's something about not wanting to encourage us, kind of trying to have our influencer cake or something on the Twitter live. I don't know, but that we're part of. That's my point. My point of that rant is we're willingly part of generating this buzz. We want this buzz, right? We want to be part of it because we're loving these comics. We're loving these stories. Disney is not paying us a cent to do any of this. We're doing it because we want to. You and I have not been invited into any kind of special whatevers. But those who have, great. They can also get kind of exclusive reveals. That's fine. Like the Acolyte thing. But yeah, I mean, yeah, for those of us who've taken all that time and spent that money, our own money, to get into that room, and I'm not saying it's not about us. I'm saying about the hype and the attention that something like New York Comic Con gets for comic book reveals. Like they talked about. I mean, I don't think they didn't announce the whole Doctor Doom thing. They didn't maybe they announced that at San Diego, I think. But anyway, I'm gonna keep ranting about this. It was just we hyped it up and it didn't happen. When are they going to do this? Because here's the thing: if they announce it's Celebration, then that's probably June or July.
Yeah.
So
well, that's why this ongoing is the holding pattern. They're going to hold the pattern with the Jedi Knights and a bunch of miniseries.
Yeah.
Until summer, maybe. I mean, they can easily have 10 issues. That's easily 10 issues. So they'll just hold it. And I mean, Marvel likes money too much to just have like 2 or 3 comics going at once a month.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. I guess one last thought though is why not announce it now? But say Alex's comic is essential for setting up the next thing. Why not just confirm it? They've hinted at it, like the next year of Star Wars still going. They have that image with the Vader mask. Say if you can say, yeah, this Battle of Jakku story is the first part of that. Go read this comic, or else you won't really know much of what's going on. I don't know. That might not be true, but say it anyway. I don't know. There. Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess we'll have to wait till Celebration or tomorrow morning or something. We'll see what happens. Anyways, we got a bit more. I don't know. Do we have time for some quick fun? I'll do 2 of them. I don't know if you got your Hallmark.
Yeah, we can do that real quick.
All right. Christmas in October. This is a fun, completely random thing. I wanted to, if we have more time, talk about more of the Hasbro reveals. Pretty cool.
We could say that for another day.
Yeah, save it for another day.
I don't even know if they announced anything. I think they announced one thing. I don't think it's too big of a deal.
No, that's true. But the Hallmark exclusives, those were fun. Got an Enterprise B. Also the Ghost. And we got these kind of mystery things. I don't know if you see that question mark there. These are Star Wars mystery ornaments. And so all of box 1, how many you got 2 of them, right?
I got 2 as well, yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up getting 4. So I'll just do 2 tonight. So here's the first one. See if I can get it.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
Oh my goodness.
What'd you get?
I got Boba Fett.
Yeah, so did I.
Really?
Yeah. Cool, eh?
That's crazy. He looks so cool. This is my second Boba Fett ornament.
It's kind of like a Funko-ish. It's kind of like the oversized head.
I love the design. This is so cool.
It's pretty fun. All right.
I like how it just like popped open with the case.
That's cool. Yeah. No, it's fun.
All right, here we go. Come on. Please don't be another Boba Fett.
Watch it be another Boba Fett. Watch it be another Boba Fett.
No.
What'd you get?
Oh, it's so adorable. Oh, that is so cute.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
just in time for the Ewoks miniseries.
There we go.
Yes, I love them. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I got a Scout Trooper.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
I like how they are. They're like a hard rubber.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
Yeah, they're fun.
And they have like good they actually have like decent detail.
Oh yeah. I'm really liking Boba Fett. Yeah, I mean, well, he's a clone, so there's that. But I don't know if there were any kind of prequel designs. That's okay. Let's see what the options were.
I mean, it was a cheap thing. It was only $6.
Yeah, so that was good. I'll do the other two. I got 2 more here. Oh, this is great. This is cool. I think these are based on like this is Leia.
Oh, Boosh.
Is it Leia? Yeah.
Boosh Leia.
Yeah. So it's cool. I think they kind
Wow.
of this stylized. I like the ones in the masks better. Just gives it isn't. I mean, you can't get. It's clearly more stylized. There we go.
These are so cool, though.
I
love
might
them.
give at least one of these to my nieces. And then there we go. I said that on the internet, so I have to do it. There we go. I'm visiting them at Christmas anyway, so there you go. That answers the question for me. I got another Leia. So
Ah.
all right. So I know my brother doesn't watch this, but this is coming his way. There we go. So Leia, Scout Trooper, and Boba Fett. There we go. All right. Well, that ended on a high note. I'm happy to end this on a high note. Kind of could have gotten on a bit of a rant there, but ended on a high note. There you go. There are 2 new books coming out next week. Insurgency Rising #3 coming right around the corner. Loving this quick clip and High Republic Adventures number 11. If I get done Tears of the Nameless, then we'll do Echoes of Fear, and if my Insider issue comes in, we'll do that as well. You've already read one of these. You already read 2 of these. Between Insurgency Rising and High Republic Adventures, I kind of know the answer to this. What are you looking forward to next week?
Oh, Battle of Jakku, of course. I think there's going to be more awesome Luke Skywalker content. They also have a teaser in the back of the book saying about some kind of iconic character in Star Wars returning.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
I know you don't read those, but I had to put it out there. I mean, it's public knowledge. It's in the back of the comic book.
Yeah,
so
I do look at those. I do see those.
That was on there. So I said, "Oh man, that's really enticing." I don't know if it's going to be Dr. Afra or who it's going to be.
Yeah, there we go. Interesting that Afra is your thought when you go to Iconic.
Well, no, because we've seen her on a cover before.
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it could be Han Solo.
So here's
I love the cover for it, though. The cover we've seen the guy that does some of these covers. EM Gist.
Oh yeah,
at Comic-Con. He had a booth.
Yeah, I think these are the Phil Noto ones.
Yeah, so he does the Last Stand ones.
Yeah, he is the Last Stand, and then Torrin Clark does the middle ones there. Yeah. So anyway, the third one there, you can see the orange one with Luke and Adelhard there.
Looks so good.
Yeah. Which one is Afra on? Is she on
that's a good question.
I don't know if she's on any of these ones.
Oh, the second one under Republic Under Siege.
Number 2. Oh yeah, that's true. That makes sense. All right, looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to number 6 then. That'd be great. Again, coming out. So yeah, these are coming out. Quick clip. So that's next week. Yeah, so sure to check out your local comic book shop for those. Yes, they're on digital, but check out your local comic book shop for pick up these hard copies. Yeah, and they should have Insider as well, potentially. So check that out. All right, that about does it. I'll pick those back up again, but let's get back to the plugs. Again, follow us Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Iron Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD, and right back here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, Monday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, where Joel and I are talking about all this stuff, probably getting a bit more into the novel news. There wasn't much, but just give me maybe even more about just release schedules and announcements and cons, and more of me ranting about different announcements or lack thereof. So yeah, please do check that out. And then yes, you can follow me at personals, MNEG, to Instagram and Threads, MNEG1138. I got a few of kind of New York photos around New York there. Probably gonna get more food photos at beaches.foodie coming up, and then all of my Star Wars at New York Comic-Con, especially cosplay at the SWU. So thanks to Ben for being so on the ball with uploading all those and some great captions and whatnot. Especially, oh my goodness, that cosplay at Still in Character of the Vader and Kenobi. Absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. And then Twitter, NEG485. You can follow me there, of course, again, at Cannon Pod. Chris, where can they find you on the internet?
All right. First, you can find me on Xbox Live at Star Raptor. If you want to kick my ass on Call of Duty Black Ops 6 this weekend, then go right ahead. I'm going to need all the help I can get because I haven't played a Call of Duty game in a decade. And now that Microsoft owns Activision, it's going to be the first Call of Duty launched in the Game Pass. So I'm going to give it a shot because I already have a Game Pass subscription. So why not? So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be reading more of Glass Abyss. I'm going to be reading Secrets of the Clone Troopers. I'm going to be talking on the IPC network tomorrow about the Jurassic World Chaos Theory Season 1 and 2. We're going live over there on the IPC YouTube channel, and I would think maybe Facebook or something. Just find us on a podcast streaming service. I'm not sure what they're doing, but we'll be live on some platform at 9 o'clock tomorrow. That's the immediate future. Then youtube.com/StarRaptor to look at the blog, to look at the vlog, to look at all these reviews that are coming out of Fast Clip that I've been doing. And Twitter to find out, to look at my awesome cosplay I pulled off. Daredevil, I did Mando, which I don't even know if I have any pictures of my Mando cosplay. It's the same one I did last year, but yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff on the Twitter about all that cosplay stuff. So there you go. Follow me there, and that's gonna about do it for me.
Yeah. That Daredevil cosplay, Black Daredevil, not the Red Daredevil. So again, another thing Charles really appreciated. So yeah, definitely check that one out. Great edit by our buddy Daniel, making it look like the comic book.
Yeah. Frank Miller. Yeah.
Oh, the Frank Miller comic, yeah. Gustavo, thanks for joining us. There you go. Yeah, so that does it for the Tractor Comics reviews. Here we go. That thing there. Yeah, please do let us know what you thought of all the New York Comic Con reveals. Please do like and subscribe. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments below or on social media what you thought of Saber for Hire number 4. Why not? Also, I do believe tomorrow on the flagship they're also talking about some of these reveals. So yeah, more book news and comics news on the flagship. I'm here for that. I hope that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're doing. So there we go. So please do check that out. Also tomorrow night, right here on Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, etc. at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Then of course the Iron Cannon podcast, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday night. I will be back in the saddle for that finally after a few weeks. So looking forward to that. But yeah, until then, go pick up Battle of Jakku, and so just Resident number 3, High Republic Adventures number 11. And if you haven't picked it up already, Echoes of Fear number 2, and Star Wars Insider issue, I believe 229. I wonder if that's where we're at.
That's one. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, so please do pick that up. But yes, Chris, great hanging out with you last week. It's been fun. Great, obviously every Wednesday night. Been fun rolling right along. But
likewise.
Yes. But until next time, happy reading.